Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth Rory, spiritual coach and a manifestation mentor. In this video, we're going to be discussing why it is important to have positive self-talk. Your inner dialogue is literally the most important conversation you will ever have. Take a second and think to yourself, how do I speak to myself? Are you kind? Are you gracious? Are you hard? Are you mean? Do you put yourself down? Or are you your biggest cheerleader? Think about it for a second. We all talk to ourselves internally. We all have this voice internally. What does yours sound like? Your inner thoughts influence your entire behavior, your daily actions. This is called self-fulfilling prophecy. No matter what it is that you believe, it's going to influence your daily actions. Before you start freaking out and panicking, hear me out. You can definitely 1,000,000% change the way you speak to yourself. But first, we have to identify how you speak to yourself. For example, you leave the house, you are in the car and you forgot your cell phone. And you're like, oh, forgot my phone. But internally you're saying, God, you're such an idiot. You do this all the time while you're running in to get your phone that took a whopping 3 seconds. Now that's inner dialogue of you being very hard on yourself, especially for something so minute. If you are consistently putting yourself down internally, that is going to reflect how you see yourself externally. As within, so without. Whatever is happening internally is being projected externally. So your thoughts are literally controlling who you are and the behavior you portray every single day. Some of you are probably panicking like, oh no, I speak to myself like my worst enemy. I put myself down all the time. Good news, you created a habit for yourself, and we can change that habit. We could change the way you speak to yourself. I used to be so hard on myself, and I really wasn't aware of it until I started to identify how I spoke to myself. So when I was a kid, I was a gymnast, and I was small. My sister is very tall. My brothers are tall, they're bigger. I was always a really small person in general. So when I got to gymnastics, I thought this is gonna be so good for me. And I was younger. I started when I was 6, and I was my worst critic. I was never good enough. I was always hard on myself. I always thought that I needed more work than everyone else. Sundays were my day off. It was my rest day, but we had open gym on that day. And I would fight with my parents almost every weekend to go to open gym when they wanted me to rest, but inside in my head, I was saying, you have to go. You're not good enough. There's so many people better than you. And it really put this heaviness on my passion, which was gymnastics. And of course, I didn't know that I was doing it to myself, but I was literally creating this hell for myself because of my own thoughts, because I didn't believe I was good enough. I didn't believe I was good enough than all the other girls. And keep in mind, I was like 6 and 7 years old having these thoughts. I did gymnastics all the way through high school. And then unfortunately, my senior year in high school, I was hit by a drunk driver and my entire gymnastics career went out the window. Although entire gymnastics career, I was so hard on myself that I never thought I was going to be good enough. And I never was. I never was. Every time I made it to state, something happened. Every time I had a great floor routine, I would eat it on the bars. It was this non-negotiable argument I was having with myself. And I wasn't aware of it at the time, but as soon as my gymnastics career ended, I thought to myself, okay, going on to college, I have so much ahead of me. How am I gonna change what's happening internally? So I started to do the work. Now, this is what's important here is you will identify the way you speak to yourself, and then there comes work. And a lot of people start to go, oh no, there's work, I don't want to have to do it. And that's your biggest problem, is because you don't believe you are strong enough or capable enough to do the work. That is completely false. You are absolutely more than enough and capable of doing the work that's going to change the way you speak to yourself internally. So what I started to do is dive deep into myself, right? As my freshman year in college, it was so new. I was this like new person, wanted to change my energy, change the way I was talking to myself. And so I started to read books like The Four Agreements and The Alchemist, and kind of started to say like, oh wow, in the Four Agreements, we are taught to be impeccable with our word, meaning your word is very strong. It has power behind it. What you speak will come to fruition. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. Your words are incredibly powerful. If it's internal or external words, it doesn't matter. They are so powerful because it determines your beliefs. And remember, your beliefs will influence your everyday actions. So I started to read books like The Alchemist and The Four Agreements, and really started to understand that we are way more powerful than we are taught in school or taught in a religious group or taught at home. And after these teachings started coming to fruition, like, oh wow, if I change the way I speak to myself, I can actually manifest or do, be, and have anything I want. Let's try this out. So I did. So I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer. Keep in mind, never ever had experience in national medicine or physical fitness, but yes, I was in shape my whole life. I was a gymnast forever. I was a dancer, I was a cheerleader, I played soccer, I did everything, okay? So by the time I got to this idea that I wanted to be a personal trainer, I was living downtown Chicago for the first time ever. I knew nobody. I was young. I was just in college. And I had this bright idea that I'm just gonna go to the largest Valley Total Fitness in the nation, which just happened to be downtown Chicago, where I was living, and apply to be a personal trainer. And so I did. I walked in, I filled out the application, said my thank yous, and left. And 2 days later, I got an interview. I remember walking into the building, Century City Mall in Lincoln Park. And I was so intimidated. I was like, what is this, right? I was this like girl from the North Shore suburbs and living downtown Chicago, and now I'm interviewing to be a personal trainer that I knew nothing about, but in my brain I was like, you could do this, you could do it. And so the doors open to the elevator, and this gym is huge. I mean, enormous. And there are tons of people in there. Beautiful humans everywhere. I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. So I go to the front desk, I meet this gentleman named Steve. He says, sit right here, I'll go get Eric for you. Like, okay, I'm sitting there like, doo-doo-doo. And then all of a sudden I look up and there is this enormous bodybuilder of a man named Eric. And he is head of all the personal trainers. He walks up and says, Elizabeth? I said, yeah. He goes, come with me. And walked in front of me, and I just followed him, like this little person, right? And he's this big, ripped, shredded dude. And takes me to his office, and he shuts the office door, and I was like, oh my God, what am I getting into? And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what am I thinking? Like, why would I think that I could do this? Like, this is crazy. I know nothing. I know where the hamstrings are located, but like, that's it, right? So of course, the interview was like any other interview. He was asking about who I am, what I love, my desires, why I'm here, and my history experience as a personal trainer. Now, we all know I didn't have any of that, so I told him about my gymnastics career and how it was in soccer and danced, and I was always active as a kid, how I'm passionate about fitness, and how I want to be a personal trainer, and why I want to. I love helping people. It's something that's very natural for me. I love giving back. I love, love, love seeing people win. Don't cry again, girl. It touches my soul. It makes me so happy. It's fulfilling for me. So I figured this would be just as fulfilling to help somebody achieve their fitness goals. And Eric and I had this great rapport. And so after I gave him the spiel about who I am and why I wanted to be a personal trainer and the lack of my experience, he hands me this test. It's about 7 pages, double-sided, and he says, I want to walk you to the next office next door, and you need to fill this out. When you're done, come back in and we'll discuss it. He said it's part of the hiring process. Great. So I take this test, go into the other office, open it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know nothing about this. I think those are hamstrings. I mean, I really knew nothing about being a personal trainer. Now you have to know the muscles, the body, the way it works. I mean, I obviously knew how some of it worked, but I wasn't a pro. I wasn't a personal trainer, right? I didn't even have my certification as a personal trainer at this time. So I go back, I finish the test, I leave about 75% blank. I go back into his office, I say, Eric, I am done with the test. He's like, great, let's go over it. He reviews it, looks back at me, and is like, well, you left it all blank. And I said, well, honestly, I don't know all the answers to those questions. And he goes, you don't have any experience as a personal trainer. I go, I know, I have none, but I know I can do it. I know I could do it. I know I could be really good at it. I know I could do this. I won't let you down, I promise. And now I'm like sitting here in my head like, girl, you're begging for this job now? And I know I'm good enough to do this. And in my head, I'm saying, stay confident, stay confident, keep your heart open, keep a good face on. You know, I'm telling myself, I'm coaching myself through this. And no matter what the outcome is, you are worthy and you are so deserving of this. And so he like looked at me like, girl, I don't even know how you got in this building. You know nothing about training. And he turns around, he grabs another blank test from his drawer, and he hands it to me and he says, take this home, fill it out, and bring it back. I said, okay. He goes, you hear me? I said, yes. I'm gonna go home. He goes, fill it out, meaning use every tool you need to correctly answer these questions. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'll be back tomorrow. He goes, because I can't turn this into corporate telling them that my new hire doesn't know a damn thing about the body or fitness. And I said, what? And he goes, I don't know why I'm doing this, but you're hired. Whew, it's a little teary up thinking about it. And so I took that test. I thanked him so much. I took that test. I left the gym and I stood in front of this big building and was like, oh my goodness. I am the last person who should probably be a personal trainer right now, knowing I know nothing about the body or how it works. But I'm a personal trainer. Like, he just took a chance on me. And it's because I knew I could do it. In my head, it was, you got this. You are so worthy of it. You are capable of it. You can do this. And I did. That first 12 months were so successful. I became Valley Total Fitness Personal Trainer of the Year nationwide. They put me up in the Ritz-Carlton for 2 weeks in South Beach, Miami. And when I came back to Chicago, they offered me my own gym. You know what I did? I quit. Because I realized those clients were coming for me, not the gym. That I'm capable of owning my own company. I can make my own personal training business. And so I did. It became so successful within 3 months downtown Chicago, that I had another crazy idea that I was going to take my business and move it to San Diego, California. I knew nobody in California. I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. I just knew that I was worthy and capable of doing it. And in my head, I could do it. I was convinced I could do it. And I did. I moved my business all by myself to San Diego, California, where it then became very successful for 4 years. I named it Take It Off Personal Training, and it was incredible, extremely rewarding. I met the most amazing people. I did the most amazing events. It was a blessing. It was beautiful. But there was something in me that wanted more. And so I told myself that I could do, be, and have anything I ever wanted. And I had this crazy idea that I wanted to work in live music. I wanted to work with musicians. I wanted to do something in the music scene. Many of you do not know me, but I was raised by my mother and father. My dad has been a musician my entire life. He played music my entire life. I thought everybody's dad was on the radio at one point. That is not true. I thought to myself, I'm gonna get into live music. Knew nothing about it. I just knew I was worthy and capable of doing it. And I knew I could do it, right? So make a long story short, I became an event producer, and I produced hundreds of events all over LA and San Diego, California, working with major bands, albums, major production companies. I put on festivals. I've done more things than I could have ever imagined. And it was all because my inner dialogue was so positive and so confident that I couldn't fail. I knew I was going to succeed no matter what. I was an event producer for 11 years in San Diego until COVID hit. And then I had another crazy idea that I wanted to give away all of my belongings and travel the country in a house van all by myself with my 2 dogs. And I did exactly that. Within 1 year, I purchased my van, built it out by myself, and traveled the country for 3 years alone with my 2 dogs. I knew nothing about being on a road trip. I knew nothing about building out a van. I knew nothing about living with only what we need to survive. I knew nothing about living alone with 2 dogs in a van and traveling the country. But I knew this. I knew that I was so confident internally that I was going to succeed no matter what. So to change the way you speak about yourself, we first have to identify what the communication is internally. How do you speak to yourself? To do this, we must observe our thoughts on a daily basis. When you start to observe the way you speak to yourself, you can then make shifts to change the way you speak to yourself in a more positive direction. For example, if you are about to take a test and you're thinking to yourself, I'm never gonna pass this test, I'm dumb, I'm dumber than everybody in this class, what are the odds of you passing that test? I'm gonna say slim to none. But if you change the way you speak to yourself, because you should, and you're worthy of it, if you change the way you speak to yourself with more grace, with positive encouragement, with affirmations, you're more likely to pass that test. Remember, your internal thoughts are going to dictate your every action. If you do not believe you are not good enough, you are going to see proof of it. And vice versa. If you believe you are worthy of everything and anything, because you are going to see signs that confirm you are worthy of it. So my friends, for example, all know this about me. Whenever they're near me and I observe them talking negative about themselves, I immediately tell them, please stop, be kind to my friend, and then say 3 nice things about yourself. My friends used to laugh at me all the time about it. But now, over time, their internal dialogue is so positive that they're actually like, thank you. Thank you for making me be nicer to myself. And it's honestly not even something I want to take credit for. It's something that they are deserving of. You must be your own best friend. You must be kind to yourself. If you are not kind to yourself, how in the world do you expect people to be kind to you? You must love yourself first. Once you start becoming your biggest cheerleader, your life is blissful. You could be, do, and have anything you absolutely desire. Please be kind to yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.